Welcome to the channel, guys. We are back again, and today we're going to be doing a fragrance review for The Chronic by Byron Parfums. So stay tuned. Before we get into the review, guys, if you like the content, don't forget to like and subscribe. Really helps me grow my channel so I can keep bringing you fragrance reviews, clone comparisons, and top lists. Byron Parfums is well known for releasing the hugely popular Mula Mula in 2018, and The Chronic is one of the 2019 releases from the house and was highly anticipated by a lot of people, including myself. The Chronic has top notes of pepper and cinnamon, it has middle notes of amber, leather, and patchouli, and the base notes are musk and sandalwood. Now, first of all, I was pleasantly surprised by this fragrance. It certainly didn't smell anything like I thought it would, especially with a name like The Chronic. I really was expecting a heavy hemp or marijuana note in there, and it doesn't have that anywhere. Which for me anyways is also a good thing, because I have never found a fragrance with marijuana in it that I actually really enjoyed. So this is probably one of the reasons why I think that I got along with this fragrance so well. In the opening, this one does come across as very familiar to me, so it reminds me a lot of Darlie by Parfums de Marly. It has this kind of minty, sweet, bubblegum vibe to it, and it comes across as very pleasant and fresh. There is also a light spiciness there. I don't really pick up much on the pepper, but I do get the cinnamon quite a bit, and it adds this spicy, slightly gourmandish touch to the mint bubblegum. And it is actually quite refreshing and quite pleasing. So I do enjoy that a lot. It's interesting that this one comes across so minty, even though mint isn't a listed note. I think ultimately this is the combination of the amber and the patchouli and the spicy notes all working together to kind of create this very spicy, very fresh, a little bit earthy kind of a fragrance that is also quite sweet. This fragrance also, for me, does actually have a little bit of a prickliness to the nose when I do smell this on first spray, and probably for the first half an hour to an hour as well. This isn't actually unpleasant for me at any point. I did find it actually quite interesting that it has this sensation that goes along with actually smelling it. So it does come across quite nice, and with a nice added experience there of being a little prickly on the nose as well. To me, the dry down is where this one really grows into its own. So in the dry down, that mintiness goes away, although it does stay very fresh and sweet, and it stops reminding me of fragrances like Darlie, and it really grows into its own fragrance. Here I get a lot more of the amber and the sandalwood, and it does actually become very creamy and sweet. It almost seems like there's maybe vanilla in there, even though again this is not a listed note, but it's very sweet and sensual. This is also when, to me, the fragrance starts to lean even more gourmandish. It almost comes off with a sort of chocolatey, milky cocoa kind of a vibe to it, even though it also has none of those as listed fragrances. I think the mixture of the amber and the sandalwood really makes this sort of creaminess that does come across in a sort of sweet, gourmandish way. Now, the mintiness does last for quite some time, but it does certainly die down at this stage. But there is a lot of spiciness still there too. It's not overly spicy, but it's a very subdued, mild spiciness that goes along with the sweetness. And it really does add an extra dimension to it, and I do enjoy it quite a bit. This is something that I think is a very beautiful dry down, and this is where the fragrance really stands out on its own to my nose. So the performance for me was really good on this one. I did get about 8 hours, and the projection is also quite nice. So I got very nice projection for about 3 hours, and it does settle down a little bit after that. But it's no means a skin scent. So it has nice sillage and projection for the first 3 hours, and after that until at least the 6 hour mark, it still is pushing off my skin quite a bit. Now, it's not huge, but it certainly is a nice scent cloud, leaving a nice scent trail as well. So overall, this fragrance opens up with a very familiar minty bubblegum vibe that's really quite enjoyable. And it does have that added dimension of a little bit of spiciness that does make it really quite nice and has a little bit of depth to it as well. The dry down is where it grows into its own fragrance, and it does really, to me, come off quite creamy and gourmandy as well. Now, I think this is probably best suited for colder weather, definitely for the fall. I wouldn't wear this so much in the high heat, as it is quite sweet and a little bit gourmandy as well. So I don't think it suits those situations too well. Also, that sweet bubblegum vibe that is quite familiar creates this sort of youthful playfulness, which is really quite nice, but I would say that in that sense, this is probably better suited for more casual or more fun events. I don't think this is really something I would wear formally, although it is very high quality and the quality is definitely there. I just don't think it's the kind of fragrance that I would pick for those kinds of situations. The sweetness and the creaminess and that gourmandish aspect is also a little bit seductive. So this is something you could certainly wear on a date. And I think it would suit that situation well as well. Overall, this is a very mass-pleasing, enjoyable fragrance that has a familiarity and a touch of distinction as well to really set it apart as its own fragrance. Anyways, guys, if you haven't got your nose on this one, do check it out. The Chronic by Byron Parfums. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.